Secret House against Secret House. Hey, welcome back. You see me and Jed here. Secret House Against the World, Tokyo-based hip-hop art and culture conversations. Lots of album discussions and reviews, primarily. Please hit the like and subscribe. Consider joining our Patreon. We've got a lot of really incredible, intelligent, wonderful people on there, and you might want to do that. I'm going to work on fixing up the page some and getting with my man Phonics to design it and make it a little better. But we appreciate all the patrons who are giving us a loot just because they want to support us, because we don't have additional content. We don't do that yet. We might, I don't care for the tiered system, but hey, we'll figure it out. Support Noname Book Club. You see the poster in the back, super fire. I need that on a t-shirt or a hoodie. Hopefully they get those restocked soon. Also, our guy over at Caltrops Press, some of the best writing that you could possibly find about hip-hop albums, deep dives, and also kind of like a zine-like product where he also has interviews and things of that nature. Please go support them. And the Sonic Cloth Podcast, Deep Listening. We recently did a 3-hour conversation about Billy Wood's
very
Arm and
meaningful
Hammer.
conversation.
Deep dives into those albums. Today, Jed and I are here to discuss the newest Obijuan collaborative album with producer Dylan the Infamous, called Xolonialism. Xolonialism.
I wasn't sure about the pronunciation.
18. He says it on the album, but it's like I got the American slang tongue. I don't know how to speak right all the time. 18 songs, 34 minutes, dropped September 6th. Obijuan is a Bahamian. Is that how you would say it?
Yeah.
Bahamian MC artist. He's collaborated with cats like Young Morpheus, fuxk, No Face, Raheem Supreme, Elijah Banksy, Lord Apex, 1-2, Sleep Sinatra, Doof. So a long list of the type of artists and cats that we like to highlight here on this channel. Dylan the Infamous is a UK producer from Birmingham. How do you say it?
Shouts out Birmingham. Yeah, Brum. Shouts out Brum.
He produced rap, jazz, R&B. Dude is doing big things in the UK. This is my first time listening to him. And also, I kind of gave a little bit of a spin for Obijuan's Slang Casino last year, which was a collaborative album with Young Morpheus on the boards, I believe.
Yep.
And I think I didn't really give it an actual listen. I probably put it on as I was cleaning or whatever. I was aware it came out, but I didn't walk away from it saying like, oh, I'm a fan of Obijuan now. Let me try harder. How do you know these two cats?
I don't. You wanted to review one he put out earlier this year.
Yeah.
Because he's
Guahani? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, I believe
I don't know
so.
how to pronounce it.
He's been very he's incredibly prolific. He's put out like 5 things this year. There's another album as well that came out like this month. Pinky Ring Parliament.
Raheem Supreme.
I was a bit unsure because this Xolonialism joint on the Bandcamp said it was released in June, but then it also says it came out in May on the Bandcamp page. So
all right,
I wasn't like 100%. Like at first, I was like, "Oh, did I fuck up? Like, did I listen to the wrong thing?"
Maybe it just hit streaming.
I think probably like
because
a thing.
He got kind of like that Makami approach, where it's like,
charges
this is
a bit
art,
more money,
so
you gotta pay for
this
it.
album's like $222.22 if you want it, or maybe $333. But he does it like that because he really values his artwork, and if you want physical copies of the joints, support
the art.
Yeah. And for this album, man, this is fucking art. I thought I was getting, to be honest with you, because of the comparison of kind of the sound palette and the rhyming approach that fits in that lane with your guys like earlier Griselda, I thought I was going to get like a discount Makami, because there's an emphasis on his kind of Caribbean Bahamian roots,
cultural
to a large degree, and it's easy, when you could rep that if you're from there or whatever, but that's one of the like Makami's kind of people
signature
notice that about them.
Things, yeah.
But this, I don't know, bro. This shit is art. Like, I actually was tremendously impressed with this album, and I have been listening to it on repeat to the point that I kind of neglected some of the other albums that we've been reviewing. This shit is very cool. Like, there is an anti-colonial, anti-imperialist layer here that is just between the dope rapper rhetoric that obviously, like, he's a person that's familiar with his cultural history and that historic tradition and those movements. And I think that adds a really important aspect to the approach of his work. So the title seems to be based upon Xaonabo, who was a Taino cacique, which is a chieftain of the Maguana tribe in Hispaniola when Christopher Columbus arrived. Yes. He led attacks against the Spanish colonizers in Haiti and DR, and was particularly on site with Christopher Columbus. Now, I wasn't really aware of this because that's not, I study my family history, shout out Black Seminole tribe or whatever, but I wasn't familiar with that. But also considering that Columbus Day in the United States is coming up, fuck Columbus. And it's amazing, this anti-colonial, anti-imperialist aspect of it. He understands that like the modern economy itself always excludes them because of it's fundamentally fed by the global and continued exploitation of people's labor and land for the material gain of the capitalists and the colonizers. And I think that it's just one of the more interesting aspects about this work. Now, on top of that, and I'm going to talk more about anti-colonialism a little bit later, but there is, like, when it comes to the beats on this thing, holy shit, they are like melodic and cacophonous. Yes. And there's so much going on that it's almost challenging to kind of pull out the lyrics at times. Spade might be like, what the fuck would you do that? But I think, and I'm not sure, but I bartended at a reggae dancehall club for like 3.5 years, 4 years when I was in Texas. It was my first time. I'm from Cali. I didn't have a lot of Jamaican, Caribbean, culture like that. But when I was there, I'm in a dance hall every night. I see how they act, how they process. I start to, understand their slang and shit. I'm like that white lady in the movie Airplane where the two black dudes are talking and she's like, I understand jive. Well, I started to be able to understand them. But one thing that I noticed about this, and tell me if I'm tripping, is there is a very kind of sound clash selector approach to this beats that is crazy, because you start to hear it.
Even the rapping, due to like how obfuscated it can be within the beat, he sounds like he's like toasting or like he's MCing in the traditional sense at like a sound clash or like a like a street party or something.
All systems like sample triggers and the ad libs and gangsta for life, that type of certified hood classic.
This is a certified hood. Damn son, where'd you find this?
They're not even placed like your Griselda boom 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 booms.
They're not on the beat. It's like somebody's just hitting the button.
It's crazy, and I didn't really start to put that shit together until Wave Starter, which is an unmistakably like dubby kind of Caribbean reggae type of track, and I was like, it all makes sense. Together, It all makes sense. And when you couple the historical shit that he's dropping on here alongside with this brand new, it's from a tradition, a lineage of this type of sound, but I've never heard it in hip hop like this before. I found the shit absolutely fascinating. And that's before you even get to the dope rhymes in the shit that he's actually talking about. This album, it blew my mind. Once it started to click for me as I was listening to my headphones. I'm like, oh, this is a dope opening. This is cool. The interludes are great, the way he punctuates the culture. But when I started really thinking about the intention and the way that they put these beats together, I was just like, this is high art. This is $222.22 worth of album. Like this is not your. I'm real critical about a lot of guys who sound derivative of that new subgenre of sound. There's a lot of dope cats, but there's also a lot of cats just like, you doing what they do and you do it your way a little bit. But this is fascinating. This is fucking amazing to me. I'm gonna keep ranting and raving if you let me, Jed. I don't.
Go for it. Like as a Jamaican, I also do relate very much to the content here, and I do think there are. I think some of these samples, like some of the samples that you see like at the beginning and the end of the track, some of them are from Jamaican people, not from not necessarily Bahamian, but Bahamian. Sorry, but this like palette, this sonic palette that runs through the whole record is it's got a sort of live presentation to it. It sounds like he's like hooked up a massive speaker system,
field recording, through like immediacy to it,
through like through the lamppost or whatever, and just hooked it up, and it's like been created right here. You watch this thing taking shape, and it really elegantly skirts this line between being completely chaotic and borderline unlistenable, and also being like beautiful.
That's what I was starting to get from, and I was like, these compositions are not, the sound clash element of it doesn't take away from the music, like the melodic aspects of the beats. In fact, sometimes they add to it in ways that is just weird. It's like it's a distinctly kind of sound clash dance hall type of thing, but it's not danceable music. It's a real fucking marvel of modern engineering type of shit. Instead of a dance, it's like a whirling dervish.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like spinning to evoke a divine vision. It's
don't
fucking
know,
weird.
Like I don't know much about Bahamian music, but I do see the heritage of Lee Scratch Perry and King Tubby, Augustus Pablo,
Alpha
Burning
Blondie.
Spear. It's all there.
Yeah. Man, and that's just before we even get to like the actual meat. Of the lyrical content. Like he's got three, like the way that they split up the album with the goombay drum, right? Gumbe, maybe that's the correct pronunciation of it, but it feels like a time stretch sample flip. And then there's like three more that kind of split up the album in a way and give it kind of time to breathe and change its direction a little bit. But it's great. Like hold on, what is the one you were talking about, like these songs that were a part of kind of the Jamaican canon, which is the ones with that redacted hold on, there's one with like I'm trying to figure out which one it is, but no, on 2001 Clarks, right? That's a recognizable sample flip, right? But in fact, the first time that I really realized that flip was it was a Jamaican flip from Lil Vicious, this song called Nika, way back in 1994. So for me, that's not even connected to the original sample. That's connected to the Jamaican heritage that I've heard this sample flip on. I was around, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, it's amazing. It to me, I was just like, oh, that's fucking weird. But I didn't even think of it as like, okay, here goes, the Isley Brothers type of shit. I immediately was like, that's Nika. That's Lil Vicious. And man, it's great. I kind of lost the direction I was going with some of the other parts, but another thing that's extremely dope about this as we get into the tracks, the song titles. Muhammad Dali. It's fucking crazy. That's an ill, like, Slave God Graveyard. Another one of my favorites is what is that shit called? The prison skyscraper prison. Let me get into some of the songs straight up. Can I do that?
I was with the song titles, like you've got a few like indigenous like revolution. Oh, sorry, let me turn that back on.
I'll be hot.
Shouts out to the Uchiwas. Like you do have these like indigenous revolutionaries. Like you got Juan Canu. Geronimo. There was something else in here that jumped out at me, but maybe I'm tripping. And of course, Xaonabo, the title of the album. There's that warrior heritage, and part of the
ashwagandha. Maybe.
Ashwagandha is a type of drug, I think, or
it's a herb.
It's a herb, right? Yeah.
Winter cherry.
There you go. But it ties in with just the whole like revolutionary anti-colonial narrative that runs through the whole record.
It's really dope, like the first rap track, track number 2 after the intro, he starts it off with like, "Ayo, the slave god graveyard all over the stolen land." That's the first bar of the album, I think. And the way he flips too is like, it's like that slave god line is it's a Starksy with it's a Ghostface flip, right? And they have that kind of pitched down sample of it at the end of the album too, but he's so dope. He's like, "Hey yo, insert berserk, but it's your best work. Spit burnt, get your wig smushed. Flip the belt and squish it to mush. The lost before the snowstorm on him. Caught the early bird. Good fucking morning." I'm not doing no justice with the rap bars because his voice is so distinct and kind of the way that
it's got this really bassy quality to it.
But what, bro? What? Yo, squish it to mush. Like, this is fucking amazing. Yo, it's so dope. Muhammad Ali, that name is so, that the album is like, it's so dope. And the shit he be saying is just like, stupid, don't include me with the foolery. The goofy nigga was doing baboonery. Ayo, no sleep. He's hard with the bars too, and it's not just it's like it's not just braggadocio, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't really get into luxury and kind of that discussion of high art pieces that you will get from like a Magna Carta Holy Grail or even a Makami, right? But he's just on it. Like, on Gord, he says name brand lungs. That's fucking hard. Name brand skin tone. Like, fucking crazy. Juan Canu is the one where I was just like, okay, he's this. Like, the first time I listened to the album, I thought like, oh, this is interesting. This is continuing to be interesting. It's hard, but like Juan Canu, he teaches you how to say the title of the album, right? He pronounces it right. But he goes off a little bit on the title of the album, right? Which kind of, it should, an active listener, it should compel you to figure out what he's talking about on these things. Yes. And I think that that's what adds that revolutionary, anti-colonialist, anti-imperialist quality to his work. He says, Ayo, King Xolonialism, spin him off to Spain with mi hermano, the dark-skinned Taino, warm-blooded good BL Negro, patience from the first native Negro. And I'm not sure if those are the correct lines because you can't find this man's lyrics online yet. Maybe his fan base just hasn't wrote it down, or he's not including it for people. But on top of that, he just be saying some ill shit. Ayo, Lord salute, Lord's loose, Juan Canu, sharpen the shark tooth. Most playing, we stay in the vocal booth. Yo, and at the end, there's like, it's not even like a preachy sample, like media sample that they use where it's like, in the 1960s, the Europeans came. But there's like some type of conversation. You could barely pick out what's going on. And you can hear like Europeans made further encroachment into African territory. It's these little type of sprinklings that are not in your face with his radical perspective, but you start to notice a complete vision of kind of the ideology and the work that he's rocking with. And man, it just works so well. Goombay Rocks number 6 is another slowed down kind of pitch shifted interlude. Geronimo, Stay in the Room, Indigenous Shorty from Arizona, Naho, Xaonabo, like not Naho, Navajo, like his kind of his very concentrated and focused approach on indigenous peoples. I love it. In Skyscraper Prison, one of my favorite tracks on this album, such an odd amalgam of sounds, and the drums come in like hella late, but standing by the skyscraper prison, think about the image that evokes, right? Like, it's fucking, it's like Judge Dredd,
periphery, dystopian, like Foucault panopticon, like
mega fucking
mega prison, like
extra late stage apocalyptic capitalism, like, bro. And he just says some shit like, son of man once consumed some shrooms. Fucking hard. Man, I don't know. I can go on and on about so many of these tracks. Wave Starter is the one that really, oh no, it was not even, Wave Starter is the one that really got me like, okay, I kind of think that I understand what I was experiencing. I kind of didn't put it together.
Right.
And I try to look up, like, I typed in on Reddit and I was like, yo, what are people saying about this guy? Like, is there other factoids that I need to be aware of other than what I've been able to kind of pick out and vulture from the internet? Because there's not too much personal information about him or the kind of intention of his artwork. I'd love to have a conversation with him. But that's when I was like, yo, this Caribbean shit is more, it's a tapestry. It's more intricately and thoughtfully crafted than I expected. And for Dylan the Infamous, that fool, I wasn't aware of him before, but that fool is producing his fucking ass off. We what were we, like September? We got several months. And in my top 10 albums of the year list, it's packed. We've got a lot of albums that I like this year. But I would be hella surprised if this album doesn't grow on me even more and end up on my end of the year list. I really, really, really fuck with this one. 101 Mutts. That should sound like some Supreme Clientele, old RZA-ish, kind of disorientating, very strange. Kingdom Come, super dope again. He calls himself the credible redacted. He says the credible gook bubble goose come through political vamoose, the goofy individual on the corner with Guinnesses doing businesses, and we all talk in slang sentences. Medulla using oof, like he just goes the fuck off.
Oh yeah,
I really like it, man. Wave 2, like my lyrics read like a book of Psalms. Do so much thought I had 1,000,000 arms in the fish market. Boot up the ocean, 1,000 archers. Crazy, man. Crazy work. Dylan the infamous. I don't know you, bro, but I'm fucking a fan.
I think part of the reason why this works, I don't know anything about like his like cultural identity. Like he's like a white passing guy. I don't know if he's of like a minority background or what, but like Birmingham has such a rich Caribbean culture that I think just really like probably informed his production. Even like the grime and like the distinctly UK rap coming out of Birmingham has always had that tinge of you know, artists from Jamaica,
Soundboy,
you know, Barbados, the Bahamas, in all of its music. Basically everyone I know from Birmingham is of Caribbean descent. Shouts out to UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards, who is also Jamaican from Birmingham.
Hey.
And I think that comes through on the record. Production wise, like incredible. Big up Dylan the Infamous.
Yeah, it's super dope, man. Like I you know, so often it's very easy to conflate. Like a lot of liberals, right? A lot of liberals have the idea of like, oh yeah, colonialism was bad, but it was progress and got us here. Imperialism's bad. Like, look at what Russia's doing too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of it is just a really kind of weak understanding of history and colonialism and imperialism. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if they were not able to give you actual like theoretical distinction between the two. But I think it's super important for artists to have this type of decolonization idea as a part of it, to include it in a part of their art and culture, because not having that really does highlight a misunderstanding or a lack of historical understanding of cultures and how they're formulated. But like, even with, you know, the historical knowledge, one has to study political economy and how capitalism maintains that system. You know, your liberals, and when I say this, I'm not talking about American Democrats. I'm talking about them, but also social democrats, even conservatives that have this idea of an idealist view of a kind of flat cosmopolitanism where all countries will somehow reach the levels of Western economy and thereby freedom and thereby liberty, which kind of excludes from the equation capitalism's highest tier and function, imperialism, which is always requires the exploitation of the global south and its other classes and those resources. And we even have begun to colonize we've I don't know how to say it, Jet. Like, we've even come to colonize the ideas of anti-colonialism with a Western view. On the left, and I mean this by largely, I'm kind of talking about a lot of the that I've spoken to in the past. There's that whole, you know, what is it? Gay, fully automated gay luxury space communism. Even on the left, it's easy to kind of be an idealist and think that the romanticization of Western progress is like this labor aristocracy fantasy where the future of luxury communism is there's like this invisible mass of third world labor that sustains this faux utopian society. It obviously doesn't work like that, and that's obviously anti-communist. But speaking to so many people, like, it's clear you really have to have a strong theoretical understanding of anti-colonialist theory to understand how those things work. And so even though Obijuan is not trying to come across as a like, yo, I'm a rapper who's anti-colonialist, listen to some anti-colonialist raps. Him inserting those things into his music the way that he does, and he might be a bad political actor, he might be on the the wrong side of things later. I have no idea, but I appreciate those tones in his work, and I'm looking forward to finding out more about that. After I was done listening to this album, the first thing I did, I was like, let me figure out who this person is.
Yeah.
And come to find out, this is one of the great fucking revolutionaries in radicals in just anti-colonialist badasses in the history of all of it, man. He killed responsible for 39, murking 39 cats. Bro, he was on site, and these are the people we should be championing. And when you do that, but you also give me Muhammad Dali, I'm fucking on board, bro. This Obi-Wan surprised the fuck out of me.
Yeah, well, because when we first discussed it, I remember you were like, "Oh, we should check this," and then you made an offhand remark about I don't like the Star Wars name. And
word.
I remember because when you sent this to me through text, and for some reason I just didn't make the connection. I didn't realize it was meant to be Obi-Wan. And I was like, "Oh, this guy's like a Yoruba cat named Obijuan." I totally it passed me by completely. I was like, oh yeah, this guy, he's Nigerian or something.
I don't even know that connection. I thought it was
no. It absolutely is Obi-Wan. It's definitely meant to be the Star Wars reference. Okay. But it completely passed me by at first. When you hit me up with it.
Word. I can't lie, yo. First, let's give our favorite joints.
Favorite joints on the
album.
Talk
a little bit away how we figured out. For me, favorite tracks: Slave God, Graveyard, Juan Canoe, Skyscraper Prison, Wave Starter.
Slave God, Graveyard, Goat Skin, and maybe Skyscraper Prison as well. Yeah.
Word. See, this is that Nika I was talking about, but
and the Spirit Rum interlude that made me deeply uncomfortable.
Okay, word.
A bit of calypso, sort of very I don't know. There's a Obia type thing going on there. It made me deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, you gotta watch out. I would recommend this to cats like me, woo heads that grew up kind of taking perhaps more about history and culture than is actually being said in the music, but just because those people hold those ideological positions, it kind of pushes you to do your research and find out and have a deeper appreciation for the communities that we are growing up in or living amongst. I recommend it to those type of cats, and I would also recommend this to cats that like old Makami, early Makami, and maybe if you like Decay by Fatboy Sharif. But this is like an experience. This is like being in the middle of a weird sound clash.
If you like loud, experimental, or just very avant-garde hip hop that also touches on those Caribbean roots, a la Billy Woods or even Death Grips type shit, then you're gonna love this, because this is of the source. This is of Nassau. This is of the Bahamas.
Word.
And it is, the blood of Xaonabo, of Juan Canoe, of Xolonialism, of the Taino, of the Maroons, of the Arawak, runs through this record. And it's beautiful work.
Yeah, I fucking what I wanted to say, shout out to our patrons. Thank you guys. Much support. Here goes the little spiel thing, but one of the ways that Jed and I kind of figure out the albums that we're going to record, sometimes it's we really want to shine a light on somebody, and sometimes we'll come across an artist that we've heard of but haven't listened to, and then we'll see the album cover and be like, yeah, let's skip this one. You know what I mean?
It's not good.
Yeah, it's it's not the best way to kind of do that, and it's dismissive of people's art and shit, but it's been more than once that either Jed or I have been like, yeah, he's got a fucking Dragon Ball.
He's got the Vegeta
armor on.
He's riding an Evangelion unit.
It's I don't have the fucking mental fortitude to push through this album this week. But yeah, if
look forward to our next review.
Yeah.
Shit.
Hit us up if you've got albums that you'd like us to review. Sometimes we like to do that. Obviously, we're not doing any submissions at this point, unless it's from an artist like people who are, you know, larger cats.
Like if you're gonna submit a record to us, like you have to be this dope to enter. Like you gotta, like Sharif has sent us some stuff and we love his work. If you just like are sending these out to every reviewer, you know, we get a lot of like boilerplate, just like, hey, like the reviews, check out my album, boom, please review this. Like we're not.
To be fair, we've gotten some really dope music from that too.
We have gotten some dope music from that.
Maybe we'll start putting more time, like
do a little segment or something, just like stuff people have sent us.
Everything
like
is just something happening.
Short conversations.
Yeah, and give a little share because we like to support everybody, but there's you know 10 albums a week that we probably could review, and we've only got time for 3 if we're lucky. So that's kind of one of the reasons that we're not taking submissions either. But yeah, shout out to you guys.
Any of our regular listeners, like if it seems as if I've been very out of it recently and I'm just letting Mega talk, yes. I'm going through some shit.
We shall overcome.